In the news at 8, Governor Moino pays condolence visit on late CP Ayilara's family in Abuja. State governor sues for peaceful coexistence among Akwa Ibom residents as local government election approaches. Bola Tinubu administration set to establish disaster relief fund for flood victims in Maiduguri. Wife of president unveils One Nigeria unity fabric as symbol of national unity. Details of these and other stories in a moment. A very good evening to you. Thank you for joining us on the news at 8. I am Uyoko Uswa. We begin with local news where Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Umoino has condoled with the family of late State Commissioner of Police CP Wahid Ayilara when he visited the wife and family in Abuja. He described the deceased as a quintessential officer who was dedicated, committed and passionate about his job. Governor Eno, who was accompanied by the Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Mr. Frank Achibong, and the CEO of Hensek Integrated Services Limited, Engineer Uwem Okoko, maintained that the late Ayilara was instrumental to the laudable synergy among security agencies in the state and contributed immensely to the peace and security currently enjoyed across the state. He noted that his passing was not only a loss to his immediate family and community, but more to the government and people of Akwa Ibom State, who, according to Governor Eno, enjoyed a very robust relationship with the late officer and gentleman. The Akwa Ibom State Chief Executive assured the family that they were not alone, as the state will stand by them in this moment of grief, urging them to be consoled in the good legacies of their late patriarch. The state governor, Pastor Moino, has advocated for the continued peaceful coexistence among elders and youth in the state as the local government election approaches. The governor made the appeal during an orientation campaign facilitated by the Bureau of Political and Social Reorientation held in Atina Federal Constituency. Tapped, "It is time to right the wrongs," the governor was optimistic of an election devoid of thuggery and violence. It held at the Nsiribum Council Hall, Ikot Edibun.
With emphasis on the orientation theme, the governor, who was represented by his special advisor, Bureau of Political and Social Reorientation, Elder Amanam Ghana, said thuggery and violence during election can mar the right decision and choice of candidates, and that it is a criminal offense, warning perpetrators of such vices to desist forthwith. He called on all, especially the youth, to embrace the right approach to successful elections in order to keep enjoying the dividends of his administration.
That's why on the 5th of October, no one will come before. I want to chairman. I call first. I will see no chairman by force. Many of them will say, "She will be able to get happen." Any kind of I want to go to big you or big your opponent. My opponent can need elections and you don't have to do. Get one man, young man, young people. You go over.
A community mobilizer, Mrs. Rose Daniel, and the permanent secretary in the bureau, Mr. Edek Msumuwara, gave clarifications on the implications of vices on youth and community, and for all to say no to these vices for them not to truncate the pace of the state.
This program is really coming to help us to develop our mind. Why we are here is to take a man's back to the way to embrace peace. The person giving us our government is a man that knows peace.
In their goodwill messages, the clan head of Obiom, Nsogo Okwondewa, on behalf of the Traditional Council in a Tinam Federal constituency, said the awareness created by the state government will help curb excesses during and after elections. Also, the council chairman representative, who is the secretary of the council, Engineer Utbe Asokio, spoke glowingly of the state governor's deeds in the state.
I would say it is a good way to relieve orientation from our people for the need for the people according to the story they are to live in peace. There is need we need more to break and leaders all our way to the people and the presentation to go with excess. The people will have a time. I'm happy to know that the government, His Excellency Pastor Mano, has accepted that this national revolution come right in time with the dream. It is time to right the wrongs. Election is coming up 5th of October and so much is expected of us. But I'm sure that this will not be a cash and carry. But what we are seeing, what we are now already, it will be a free and fair election as usual.
Akwa Ibom State government has secured a 60 billion naira procurement deal for 2 Bombardier CRJ 900 aircraft to further boost the fleet of the state-owned airline Ibom A. The state governor Pastor Omoino made this known at a special event organized in his honor by Akwa Ibom's foremost socio-cultural group, Mbogo Mparawai Bibiu. Tagged an evening with His Excellency, the event held at the Mbogo Mparawai Bibiu International Headquarters, Uyu. The governor stressed that the purchase was done solely by the state government without any loan or third-party funding. Our government house reporter has the details. Moving on now, journalists in Akwa Ibom are said
reaffirming his administration's resolve on utilize state revenue in the most efficient manner to fund development projects and make profitable investment for the state devoid of financial facilities that would put the state in perpetual indebtedness. The governor said 25 projects will be kick-started and completed before the second anniversary of his administration, all without borrowing. According to him, nearly 50% of the over 70 billion naira decades-long gratuity burden of retired workers in the state would have been cleared within his administration's 15 months in office. He said he will make another release to that effect within the month and fund other people-oriented programs and projects in the state. Governor Moino thanked the international president of Mbogo Mparawai Bibiu, Akparawa James Edet, for galvanizing support for his emergence as governor and honoring him with a special gathering. He commended the organization's pivotal role in uniting the various ethnicities that make Akwa Ibom State, pledging to do his best to make the Mbogo and entire Bibi nation proud as their ambassador.
I am very proud to announce to Mbogo that we have released 60 billion naira to Ibom Air to acquire 2 new CRJ 900 aircraft from the state government coffers, and we didn't have to borrow. We have saved them from that debt if we were frittering away state funds, this state will not have afforded to finance the purchase of that aircraft.
In his address, the international president of Bukumbarawe BBO, Barrow James Edet, expressed his delight for the privilege of hosting Governor Moino, whom he described as the BBO son and great ambassador of the Mboko, while also acknowledging his magnanimity in appointing several members of the organization into his administration. Barrow James Edet noted that the governor, through his administration's rise agenda, has touched the critical sectors of the state and has moved the state forward at an impressive pace of development. He conveyed the commitment of the Mboko to support Governor Moino's administration and his endorsement for his continuity in office into a second term.
We meet like this, Ambo Parawa, to plan for your nation, to plan for Akwa Ibom State, and to plan for the future of our people in Nigeria. We are happy. Put your hands together for the governor of this state.
AKBC News.
Journalists in Akwa Ibom are set to hold the first ever Media Stakeholders Summit. The one-day summit on the theme "The State of the Media" in Akwa Ibom State, the way forward, will hold at 10 o'clock in the morning on Friday, September 20, 2024, at the Nigeria Union of Journalists Press Center, Uyo. A statement issued on Sunday by the editor, the Crest newspaper, and secretary of the summit, Mr. Kufre Eituk, indicates that the summit is aimed at bringing some reporters, editors, and publishers in Akwa Ibom State together for a much-needed stock-taking, adding that it will be co-chaired by a former chairman of the NUJ and publisher of the Straight News, Comrade Israel Omor, and the regional editor of Southeast Premium Times, Mr. Cletus Ukbong. The chairman of NUJ Akwa Ibom State Council, Comrade Amos Eituk, and the Chancellor, Conference of Online Publishers Akwa Ibom State, Comrade Utarefon Morgan Ukbong, would present goodwill messages at the summit. A former chairman of the Correspondence Chapel of the NUJ, Dr. Idongaseda Shaberi, will speak at the summit on the topic Media Practice in Akwa Ibom, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Other speakers include Mr. Idorenyin Akwaiswa, publisher of Media Post International, who will speak on the challenges of media industry in Akwa Ibom State, and Mr. Kemini Simon, an award-winning journalist with the Mail newspaper, Uyo, to speak on opportunities for media sustainability in Akwa Ibom State. Director, Center for Human Rights and Accountability Network, an international and pro-democracy organization in Nigeria, Utuekon Franklin Isong, will examine press freedom in Akwa Ibom, while Mr. Ukbong, the regional editor of Premium Times, is to speak on ethical and responsible journalism in the state. The statement adds that the summit, which is strictly on invitation, will have two sessions: a pre-summit session with media relations managers and a stakeholders business session. We'll take a short break now, but when we return, Bola Tinubu administration set to establish disaster relief fund for flood victims in Maiduguri. Wife of President unveils One Nigeria Unity fabric as symbol of national unity. Stay with us.
This is where we belong. The place where life is beautiful. The peaceful ambience we enjoy when we live together, unity and love. It's all in our We go stand together, we go make up the time. We be brothers and sisters, no matter where we be. It's all about you know. Let's live together in peace and harmony.
It's so good to have you back. If you're just joining us, this is AKBC 45 News at 8. Moving on to legislative matters now. Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly has ratified the appointment of Ubawudum Etuk and Co. as an external auditor for the Office of the Auditor General for Local Government. The ratification was given after the House received and scrutinized the report of its Public Accounts Committee at today's plenary. Yours truly, the Legislative Affairs reporter, filed the following report.
The Eric Akpan-chaired Public Accounts Committee of the House explained the procedures it employed to choose among several auditing companies that bidded for the job and their rationale for recommending Ubawudum Etuk and Co.
Mr. Speaker, on the procedure, the committee formally invited the venue for interview in line with the established rules and best practices. The interview was conducted on Wednesday, June 19, 2024, by the Public Accounts Committee in the House. The relevant practice books of the firm were examined. Their experience was assessed and thorough interview based on their expertise of the subject matter conducted. The committee also assessed the profile of the firms, past performances, due diligence, professional competence and compliance with relevant legal and regulatory framework for practitioners in the industry. Observation is the Speaker honorable members. After thorough interview, the examination of the professional expertise and audit experience of the firm, the committee observed as follows. 1. That all three firms are qualified auditors, but Ubawudum Etuk and Co. is better established with experienced auditors who are qualified in different fields of audit.
With relevant motions, the report was accepted by the House and discussed at the Committee of the Whole before its decision.
Those in favor say aye. Those against the ayes have it. Accordingly, the appointment is hereby approved. The clerk is hereby directed to communication to the appropriate quarters.
The House at plenary also received a bill for a law to establish the Akwa Ibom State Aviation Training Institute to provide courses of training, research and development in relevant fields in the aviation industry and for other matters connected therewith. It was sponsored by the Ini State Constituency Representative, Lawrence Udoide, and 20 others. Plenary was adjourned to Tuesday, September 24. Uyoko Uswa, AKBC News.
The Uyozo Directorate of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has arrested 5 suspected Chinese illegal miners in Akwa Ibom State. A statement by EFCC's head of media and publicity, Mr. Dele Oyewale, said the arrests were made at Nditoeka Iba village in Ibadan local government area. The suspects were apprehended by the EFCC Special Task Force on Illegal Mining following credible intelligence on illegal activities by foreign mining companies in Eket and Ibadan local government areas. They were caught at illegal mining sites suspected to be extracting ilmenite, a titanium iron oxide mineral. The suspects are to be charged to court once investigations are concluded. The Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, has urged the federal government to urgently tackle the issues of security, economic hardship, and social division in the country. This call is contained in a message issued by the CAN president, Archbishop Daniel Oko, in Abuja, while felicitating Muslims on the celebration of Eid ul-Maulud, the birth of Prophet Muhammad. Archbishop Oko called on Nigerian leaders to prioritize policies that will ease the sufferings of the populace and ensure justice and equity for everyone. He heightened the importance of fostering peace, and understanding, and urged all religious leaders to continue promoting messages of tolerance and coexistence. President Bola Tinubu Monday announced the establishment of a disaster relief fund in Maiduguri, Borno State, to assist persons impacted by floods and other disaster. He announced these at Government House Borno when he visited to sympathize with the government and people over the recent flooding from Alau Dam. President Tinubu urged the private sector to contribute to the funds, said the relief fund was already expedient as the climate becomes more unpredictable and many places in the country are vulnerable to its vagaries. The president thanked Governor Abdul Rahman Abdul Razak of Kwara State, who is also chairman of the Governors Forum, Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed, Sokoto State Governor Ahmed Aliyu, and other governors who looked beyond party lines to bear the burdens of others. The president, while sympathizing, pledged his government's continued support for victims of natural disasters. Meanwhile, as flood devastates states in the north, a civil society organization, Action Aid Nigeria, has urged Niger Delta states, governments, and other southern states to urgently take proactive measures against the looming flood disaster. It will be recalled that last week, the Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Engineer Joseph Yutev, alerted the governors and local government chairmen in the Niger Delta region and other southern states to put in place measures to mitigate the coming flood disaster that would hit the region following the rising levels of River Niger and Benue. He advised the evacuation of residents in flood-prone areas to safe zones and the provision of emergency shelters for victims, awareness campaigns to educate citizens on flood safety measures, the silting of drainage systems to prevent blockages, as well as stockpiling of emergency relief materials such as food, water, and sanitation kits. Additionally, activating emergency response plans and teams to quickly respond to the disaster, collaborating with local communities, state governments, and other stakeholders to ensure coordinated response and prioritizing the need of the most vulnerable populations, particularly women and children. He recommended that the government should invest long-term solutions to address the root causes of flooding, including environmental degradation, inadequate infrastructure, and climate change, adding that this can be achieved by implementing sustainable land use practices, restoration of natural buffers like wetlands and forests, promotion of climate resilient infrastructure development. The First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, Monday unveiled the One Nigeria Unity fabric, which she described as a symbol of national unity. The fabric was designed by a 25-year-old graduate of the University of Ibadan, Mofinyi Ifeluwa Bamidele, who went home with a prize of 25 million naira, emerged the winner of fabric designs competition organized by the Renewed Hope Initiative RHI and chaired by the First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu. In her keynote address at the unveiling of the One Nigeria Unity fabric, an announcement of the winner of the competition at the State House Conference Center, Abuja, Mrs. Tinubu explained that the concept of national fabric was inspired by her visit to Zimbabwe in December 2023, where she saw a similar initiative. She said the One Nigeria Unity Fabric competition was launched in February 2024 and called on youths aged 15 to 25 to create a design that would represent Nigeria's unity. To end the news, another look at stories that made the headlines. Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Umaino has condoled with the family of late State Commissioner of Police CP Wahid Ayilara. When he visited the wife and family in Abuja, he described the deceased as a quintessential officer who was dedicated committed and passionate about his job. We also told you that the First Lady Senator Oluremi Tinubu Monday unveiled the One Nigeria Unity Fabric, which she described as a symbol of national unity. The fabric was designed by a 25-year-old graduate of the University of Ibadan, Mufin Ifeoluwa Bamidele. Bamidele, who went home with a prize of 25 million naira, emerged the winner of the fabric designs competition organized by the Renewed Hope Initiative and chaired by the First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu. And that's it for 8. There will be more news at 7 a.m. Do join us then. My name is Uyoko Uswa. Good night.